The Undercountry Music News is an excerpt of the weekly internet broadcast Undercountry Music, which features music from great country artists you won't hear on mainstream radio, as well as a roundup of the most interesting country music news of the week without all the fluff. To listen and subscribe to the full weekly episode, please visit undercountrymusic.com or simply subscribe to the Undercountry Music Podcast on iTunes. Let's get into it. And, well, you know what? I have I have another story about how hard it is to be a human being. But I'm going to save that until after this next portion, because it is time for the Undercountry Music News. All right. The Undercountry Music News is the portion of the show where I go on to Google. I type in the three little words that Google loves to hear, country music news, and I see what shows up on the front page Google. What websites show up? It's always the same websites, by the way. And then they're always, at the top of the country food chain. And I go on and I give most of them a whole lot of grief just for the stupid stuff that they run on their sites. Because honestly, most of it's not news. Most of it's BS press releases. And my job is to cut through the press releases, find the real news nuggets, and pick them for you. And if I go onto one of these sites and they have no news nuggets, I mean as in zero, then I award them with, you guessed it, the Undercountry Music News Wet Belch of the Week, which sounds a little something like this. And my belches are always live, never canned. It's always me authentically belching right into this microphone. So here we go. Here's a little taste of the glory here. Let's see what I got here. That's what's coming for you. All right. Starting off with CMT, Country Music Television. What a garbage rag this thing is this week. I scrolled and couldn't find a single story that wasn't total fluff and fodder. I did actually click one story that looked halfway interesting, and the headline indicated that Tim McGraw had gotten a restriction at a high school football game. And upon reading it, it just says that he gives the officials some grief at the sidelines at his kid's game, but it was his wife, Faith Hill, that merely asked him to stay in the stands. I mean, seriously, what a misleading headline. I thought he got it makes it appear as though he were getting, had some official restriction by the officials of the game or something like that. And I was duped. And I'm trying to keep you from being duped. Don't click it. Don't do it. But CMT, this week, you get to taste my belch. Yeah, that's the way it goes down here. You don't want the belch. You don't want to step to this. Well, with the taste of the wet belch of the week still warm in my mouth, I'm going to move on to the Taste of Country at tasteofcountry.com. They are reporting that Dierks Bentley has opened a second location of his restaurant, Whiskey Row, this one in Tempe, Arizona. If you'd like to stuff your mouth with a lot of Dierks, oh man, I'm heading down a bad path here. Now you know where to go. My God. How do I keep my non-explicit rating on this show? Anyway, and a portion of the State Highway 96 that connects Murfreesboro, Tennessee, where I live, and Franklin, Tennessee, has been renamed to the George Jones Highway to honor the late country legend. I actually saw this sign the other day. I did an event in Franklin. Yeah, I did an elementary school event. Now, that's a scary thought, huh? Especially after the, whipping out my Dierks there. Anyway, now it's really ironic that they renamed that the George Jones Highway, because I run over a whole lot of possums on that stretch of road all the time. The body count continues. And also at Taste of Country, which highlights how much CMT is not doing their job, Dustin Lynch has scored his second consecutive #1 hit on the country charts with Hell of a Night. I, for the life of me, couldn't even begin to tell you how this song goes. And I know I've heard it like a few times. I mean, I have it. It's in my music library, you know, because I'm a DJ as my living. But seriously, I couldn't hum you a line if there was a gun to my head. And also over at Taste of Country, which furthermore underscores how much CMT didn't do their job by reporting any news. Maddie and Tae's debut album has debuted at #2 on the country charts, right behind Luke Bryan, who the article states they are hot on the heels of. Well, not exactly. One commenter pointed out that Maddie and Tae sold 28,000 copies in their debut, which is, you know, really respectable, even in this day and age of nobody buying anything. But Luke Bryan sold 320,000 in his debut. Hot on the heels might be a little bit of a stretch here. Now, the most interesting thing I found in this article was that Maddie and Tae and Luke Bryan are the only two country, and I say that loosely, acts to have cracked the top 200 in the album charts currently. Now, something's going on with modern country. It's looking like people are starting to revolt because, well, it's revolting. What's going on? I checked the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart earlier this week, and did you know, at least at the time I checked, there was not one single country artist in the top 40, period, at all. Zip, nada, ditka bupkis. Folks, something's going on. Nobody's talking about it. But I got to tell you, if Music Row's not taking note of the rats jumping the ship, they're headed for a heap of trouble, folks. All right, heading on to Nash Country Weekly. Thomas Rhett has an awesome publicity stunt lined up for the kickoff of his new album, Tangled Up. He's heading to AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, with several thousand of his closest friends to hold the largest game of Naked Twister ever attempted. Okay, just Twister, but, you know, Naked Twister with oil would be like so much more entertaining, especially with fat people. He is going for a world's record. Color this awesome. Awesome to the blue dot. GAC, Great American Country. My God, the latest article here on the news roll from them is from July 6th. It's the middle of September, people. Taste my wet, stinking belch. All right, my belches are kind of tiny today, and I apologize for that. You deserve better belches. But, you know, what I lack in quality, I will attempt to make up for in quantity today. Over at theboot.com, you can see a video of Toby Keith performing his new song, Rum is the Reason, live on the Stephen Colbert Show. I have to say, I like Toby Keith a lot. Sorry, there was a little more belch, but his singing lately, at almost every recording I hear of him, at least live, sounds slurred, like he's been pounding a few. Maybe he has. Maybe he likes to get drunk. Doesn't care. I don't know. Maybe there's something else going on with Toby. But anyway, almost every other song he puts out these days seems to be a half-baked drinking song that sounds like he pulled it out of his butt in 20 minutes. And unfortunately, that's exactly what this one sounds like. It sounds like Toby Keith singing a Jimmy Buffett song, a Jimmy Buffett B-side song. That, you know, it's that island cowboy vibe thing with the predictable patterns that will make people at the beach concert in their Hawaiian shirts and cowboy hats hold margaritas high. It's mindless. I guess that's the point, and I guess there's nothing wrong with the mindless drinking tune. But Toby Keith is a songwriter Hall of Famer here. He's better than this. Toby Keith, you are better than this. And fortunately, and I didn't say unfortunately, I said fortunately, he still comes out with some really, really good stuff every so often. And it's usually, for every, toss off out of my butt song that he comes out with, he also comes out with another song that's like, wow, that really said something, and such is the case with the title track from his new album, 35 Mile Per Hour Town, which is just a really, really great song and says something. This tune, however, sounds like a toss-off. All right, Nashville.com is reporting that Jennifer Nettles has signed with Big Machine Records and will release her first single as a Big Machine artist this coming October. So brace yourselves for tons of brand new, annoying nasally tunage from Jennifer Nettles. Also reported at Nashville.com, Big Kenny of Big and Rich has landed his own TV show on the TLC channel. The show is called Big Kenny and Family and follows Kenny and his family while he's on break from touring with Big and Rich. I guess that's why they called it Big Kenny and Family. The story does state at one point that Big and Rich are, quote unquote, killing it in the charts. I love Big and Rich. I mean, I love me some Big and Rich. That's a freaking awesome party band right there. And talent out the wazoo. But I don't know what charts the writer of this story has been looking at. But I personally haven't seen a Big and Rich or Big Kenny song chart, period, in quite some time. Anyway, the show might be interesting. I'd watch it if I had TV. Rolling Stone Country. They got an article over there touting a preview of the new songs from Alabama. Lies! All lies! There's no preview. It's just an interview with effing Randy Owen talking about how in the 80s they could spend all the effing time in the studio they wanted. But now that margins are a lot tighter in the industry, Alabama was, quote unquote, on the clock in the studio for the first time in their career, and how different that dynamic was to work with. But he wasn't complaining. That was good. He wasn't being a whiny pusswad. So, well, that might be an all right read. It's not news. It's a misleading headline. And it's the only thing at Rolling Stone Country that was even halfway interesting. So, with that, taste my wet belch, Rolling Stone Country. My belches are getting deeper and richer. Or bigger and richer. Right. Moving on to Country Standard Time. Now we head into the lightning round of Undercountry Music News, otherwise known as Country Standard Time, because this is the place where you get all the quick headlines of both the big name artists and the up and coming ones. It's kind of like, it's like the lightning round, like the Flash series, okay? The big story at Country Standard Time this week is that a re-recording of Garth Brooks' song Friends in Low Places, featuring George Strait, Florida Georgia Line, and Jason Aldean, along with Garth, has been shelved due to a breakdown in the distribution deal, in which Garth was offering a discount to distributors in exchange for a guarantee that they would purchase 1 million units. And now all distributors agreed except for two. The two that didn't agree, they wanted a bigger discount. And the deal, the way it was written, was that each distributor would get the exact same discount. Now, unfortunately, Garth's team, while they may have been able to give those two distributors the discount they were seeking, they're stating that they couldn't afford or justify to give that discount across the board to everyone. And to put things in perspective, Garth's latest album to date has sold less than, according to this article, and boy, I mean, with Maddie and Tae selling 28,000 copies, this article states that Garth's latest album to date has sold less than 5,000 copies. That might be a typo. I gotta imagine that's, I mean, to date, I now maybe 50,000 for Garth, but honestly, I didn't really see it kicking around on the charts much. I saw Garth like not letting it out anywhere except his own website. Can't find it on YouTube, Spotify, nothing. He's not out there playing the game. He refuses to. So, maybe 5,000 is a real number. And it also claims that songwriters and publishers have split a total of $364 in royalties, according to the story. You heard that right. Split a total of $364. Now, I don't know if any of this is true. Maybe this person's up their butt. They don't have their facts straight. I mean, that's even unbelievably low for this day and age. I mean, you'd think he'd have sold way more than that, at least at the concerts. He had to have moved more units than that at the freaking concerts. I mean, come on. The guy's doing multiple night runs, sell out crowds. I'm not going to believe these numbers. Maybe through normal, quote unquote, normal distribution channels, he may have sold 5,000, but there's no way it's only that much at his concerts. I'm not buying it. I'm calling BS. Okay, I'm calling BS on Country Standard Time here. And I hate to do that because I really like Country Standard Time. As for a lot of these other news outlets, well, they suck. And this has been your Undercountry Music News. Thank you for listening to the Undercountry Music News. The Undercountry Music News is just a small excerpt of Undercountry Music, where I play music and have great interviews by lesser-known original country acts. Get on over to undercountrymusic.com where you can listen and subscribe. Stay under, stay country.